Alright, here we have Xiangli Yao, or Yao as Rover calls him sometimes, which I think is kind of cute. You notice right off the bat, his face looks kind of scary, and that's just the fault of the shader. He doesn't actually look like that. He's a sweet boy. From the front, you can already see a lot of heavy focus on his left side, or for his right, I suppose. His arm is very, very detailed, and I can already tell you this is where we're probably going to spend most of our time looking at, because Kuro did a very, very good job with this. I've seen it in game, it looks very, very good, and half of Twitter has been kind of over him because of it. It's that, compared to the other characters, his hair got kind of less attention and less stuff going on. His outfit is somewhat reminiscent of a researcher, but at the same time isn't. And I kind of dig that, you know? We know he's a researcher, but he's kind of got his own style. From the side, you can see his kind of undercut. I don't really know what this hairstyle is called, but it's puffy at the top and shorter at the bottom. His sleeves with kind of a logo on it, and his really long coat with more details, which I'm not going to yap at right now, but I will further down this video. And you can see that, again, the males don't get away without heels either. From the back, we can see how his coat is constructed with a underlayer, upper layer, and most upper layer, if you may. He has a little hair detail, which I think is the only one he has, and you can see the backside of his coat. In this rare case, we are also going to look at the fork, because on this side you actually have a little hanger and writing, which isn't on this side. Aside from the top, you can kind of see that his idle state looks kind of dead inside. Compared to the cutscenes in the event that's currently going on, his eyes are kind of dead here, and that's just because he's A-posing. You know what? To make this video a bit less scary, let's actually draw down his eyes a little. This is the mouth. That's cute. Oh, there we go. Down. I mean, I guess it's a little less scary. As you can see, his hair is somewhat lopsided, with this side being higher, and his hair has lighter tips as if it's grown out or has been lightened. I'd like to headcanon that he actually dyed his hair this color before, because it would be kind of cute to see him with fully blonde hair. On the back, we have the only accessory he's actually wearing, which looks to be a kind of wireframe of some sort. I don't know if this is just for fashion or if he uses it to control his robots or something. Kind of transmitter, if you may, which would be kind of cool. I suppose the only other detail that is kind of notable is that he joined the male earrings gang. I first noticed this when I started the event and thought it was kind of odd, mainly because most of the males that wear earrings often wear ones that are eye-catching. For example, Jian has those really big bangles on his ears, as to where Xiangli Yao has these small studs. I'm not complaining, I actually quite like these. I just thought it would have been a nice addition to give him more attention to this area, mainly with ear cuffs or something like that. Something to make his face pop out more. Moving further down, we are already moving to the main focus of his design, mainly being his lab coat connected to his arm. I'm going to start with the upper body today, because the arm is going to take some time. First of all, he's wearing multiple layers. I'm trying to figure out in which order these are in, but my best guess is that the blue is the undershirt, with a kind of colored black upper shirt which is held together by the strap, a shoulder guard which has screws in them, the white upper layer, and the sash above it. Why I think this is a shoulder guard is because of the back. You can see that this plate is textured metallic. Now, I'm not too sure if this black part is actually fabric or also part of the guard, but because it isn't textured in the same way, I'm just going to call it fabric. On the main bodice, he actually has a few designs which are probably just to look a bit more techy. On the chest, he has more shapes that are kind of pieced together, more writing, and a logo that he also has on his arm. What is most interesting about this is his little name tag. I think this is a really cool detail, as I think most of the researchers have this, and even if they don't, I'm pretty sure his fellow researcher Mortifi does. On the badge, though I can only guess, he has his name, the institute he's working for, and a cute little picture. Moving to the back, you can kind of see better how this is pieced together. First of all, this front part and the back part are actually just belted together. I suppose this was done due to mobility, as if he had worn the full sleeve, he wouldn't be able to move this as much. In total, I think he has 3 of these straps, 2 in black, which might belong to this black part of his collar, and 1 in white. Moving on to his first arm, he has the logo I mentioned before. I would have said that this is just the logo of the research institute he belongs to, but Mortefi actually doesn't have this. On the contrary, it kind of looks similar to a resonance nexus, though not quite. So I can't say too much on it yet, besides speculation that this might just be like a logo of his uniform of like the department he's part of, and not just the institute. Moving further down, we do have a little cuff, which I think is really cute, and a metal part. This might just be like a cuff for his undershirt, I'm not too sure. Moving on to his knuckles, we actually have a part that I found most interesting. Aside from his hair, which you can't see on his model, but you can see in game, he has little stars. And he does have these on his knuckles too. Now, we will move on to it, but his tacet mark is actually on his robotic arm, which for normal resonators wouldn't make too much sense. Now, the most popular theory is that he actually made a synthetic tacet mark. My personal theory is that he had a tacet mark before on his arm, lost it in losing his arm, and then did multiple experiments on himself, resulting in these scars and the stars on his hair to refabricate his tacet mark. Moving on to the part that I'm probably going to yap about the most is his robotic arm. Now you can already tell I separated it just so we can have a better look at it. From the top, we have the logo that we mentioned before. Now, again, this might just be of his department, I'm not too sure. The arm generally seems to be made up out of multiple kinds of layers of metal. The upper part itself seems to be the shoulder joint, meaning that it's at the point where it's still protected, but Xiangli Yao can still move it around. While I say that though, some of this stuff seems to be just decoration. For example, this part. It has a couple of mecha looking holes in it, but I don't think this has any purpose at all. Now, on this part, we actually have his tacet mark I was talking about. Whether or not my theory is correct about his fabricated tacet mark, we still have to see once he comes out. Following the arm, he has more little patterns on it in the color matching to the symbol. All of these symbols seem to be connecting to the middle part, which is just another joint. Looking at it closer, you can kind of tell that he tried to make it look as best as an actual arm, with the inner side being kind of smaller than the back side, maybe simulating a kind of elbow. Looking at it closer though, you can actually see that there's something inside. I'm not too sure what this is. It might just be to make the special effects of this arm pop more. I might have to pay attention to that once we actually get to use him. Moving further down, we have more accessories that seem to be floating, and his robotic hand. Now, this is my absolute favorite part of this entire arm. In the game, it looks so fucking cool, okay? And his hand is actually one of his main focuses in most of the cutscenes. Looking at it from the underside, you can actually see that it's made out of multiple joints. Each part where you would have a moving joint yourself is a little ball to make it move. Another thing that isn't really seen during the quests is the symbol. I have no idea what it means. It might just be the manufacturer of his parts. Similar to a lot of the other characters, his lower lab coat is actually just held together by a belt-looking thing and another clasp. Something that doesn't quite make sense to me though is that half of his sash just looks normal, while the other one just kind of sticks out of his pants. It doesn't seem to have any continuation anywhere, so it's probably just to be a little bit asymmetric. Looking at the outside, it isn't completely mirrored as I mentioned before. On one side, he has this cute little tassel which fits together with the tassel on his name card, a little bit of writing as we're already used to, his coat actually splitting in the back, and having more straps. I don't think these are quite belts, they seem to just be decorative straps, though again they don't make any sense. For example, this one is split here but also split there, and I don't quite get how it's holding up at the ends, but we will ignore that for now, won't we? Something interesting is that Xiangli Yao actually carries a quite big bag. Personally, I like to think this bag is for little repair tools for his robots or even for his arm. And for once, it's actually connected to something. Hanging off of it, he has more belt-looking things. You can personally count your counter to 2 if you wish, though I think he has 2 little actual belts to open a counter this time. Now, what I actually wanted to draw attention to earlier is the little design he has on the inside of his lab coat. It's similar to the one he has on his chest, but just in a different color. It's a really nice detail that he also has on the lower side of his pants. Now, something I wanted to draw attention to is that because we never see the upside of his pants, they didn't bother. You know, I get it, okay? I don't bother with modeling the stuff you can't see either, but I think this was done because it would have clipped with his coat. You know, we can just look at it from this angle. This angle's fine. We don't even need to look at his flat-ass cheeks. So, going further down, we have his shoes, and while they don't look like much on the upper side besides his little heels, he actually has quite the interesting pattern under it. Now, I'm pretty sure this is just another mecha-looking design choice, but I think it looks really cool. Overall, you can kind of tell that the arm really is his main design. It has a lot of detail, and most of the cutscenes draw attention to it, but even with that, the rest of his outfit doesn't seem too plain. He has a lot of different patterns, and most of the colors drawn throughout, so I think it's balanced quite well. Again though, I do think they could have done more with his hair. Maybe bigger earrings, or just like a pin in his hair or something would have been enough for me. But that aside, what do you think of his design? Do you think my theory about his tazet mark is plausible? That said, I hope you enjoyed, and have a nice day. Bye bye.